Hey everybody, welcome back. Dirty Water Coins and Collectibles. Today I got a box of nickels, 50 rolls, all circulated. Hoping for some good finds. War nickels, Liberty nickels, Buffalo nickels, proofs, errors, varieties. Before we get into this, I wanted to bring you in and show you that I got a mail call. The channel who sent me this package is Let's Look Brad. He randomly picked me to send me this item here out of his own pocket. Spent almost $16 to have it shipped priority, which I was dumbfounded, grateful, shocked, all at the same time. If you guys aren't subscribed to Let's Look Brad, I would suggest that you do so. His channel's really cool. He does coin roll hunting. He gets coins graded, does metal detecting, shows work sites, stuff that he's working on. Really cool channel. Really great guy. So let's get into this package, and I'll show you what we got. Give me a minute just so I can open it up. All right, here we go. It's a nice Jefferson Nickel Whitman album from 1938 to 1997. He knows that I hunt nickels frequently, trying to fill my personal album. So we thought it would be kind of cool to start a second album from scratch. I started mine kind of in between. The album's in really nice shape. Up to 1997 with a few extra slots and an extra page. And I like these albums because they do give you the mintages for each coin. So that was really awesome. Thank you, Brad, from Let's Look Brad. So again, if you guys are not subscribed, give his channel a view. You might see something that you like. Subscribe. Let him know that Dirty Water sent you. That's really cool. Thank you again, Brad. All right. So we do have some nickels. So we can start filling this album up. So this will be a 50 roll hunt and fill video. Let's get into the first roll. Bring you in on our first find. Roll 1. We have a 1941 out of Philly and a 1958 out of Denver. And I do have some pulled aside to start filling the album. All right, let's get into the next roll. Bring you in on our next find. Roll 4. We have a 1954 out of Philly. Let's get into roll 5. I'll bring you back in if we get anything. Roll 5. We have a 1951 out of Philly and a 2009 low mintage. Put this aside. Put that aside. Get into roll 6. I'll bring you back in on our next find. All right, roll number 6. We have a 1940 out of Philly, a 1954 out of Denver, and I don't normally do the 60s, especially 64, but this one was gorgeous. And it is a Denver. This one will go into the album. But this mint mark just looks odd. I don't know if they're, I just looked on Variety Vista. I don't see anything that looks like this one, but I am going to hold it aside. It's going to go in the album, but I'll try to do a little bit more research on it to see if any other sites have something that look like this one. All right, let's get into roll 7. I'll bring you back in on our next find. Roll number 9 gives us a 1941 out of Philly, and kind of like the sister coin, this 1964 out of Philly. So those look like those two will probably be going in the album unless I find something nicer. But these two are 64 Philly and 64 Denver are really nice looking coins. So I'll hold those aside, put this with the 40s, and I'll get into roll 10. If anything pops out, I'll bring you back in. Roll 10. We have this 1968S in beautiful condition. Looks uncirculated. A 1989 Philly. Gorgeous shape. I have a 1959 out of Denver and a 1957 out of Denver. I did check the mint marks. Nothing out of the ordinary with those. So these will go in our 50s find. We'll put these aside as our nice coins to go in the album. And I'll get into roll 11. Bring you back in if I find anything else. Roll 11. We have a 1946 out of Philly. Put this with the 40s. Get into roll 12. Bring you back in if I get anything else. Roll 12. We have a 1941 out of Philly. And a 1948 out of Denver. All right, we'll put them with the 40s. Get into roll 13. Bring you back in on our next find. Roll 13 gives us a 1970D in decent shape. We'll put this one aside for the album, unless I find something nicer. Get into roll 14. Bring you back in on our next find. Roll 15. We have a 1993 out of Philly in nice shape. We'll put this aside for the album. Get into roll 16. Bring you back in on our next find. Roll 16. We have another 1941 out of Philly. Bring you in on our next find. Roll 17. 1958 out of Denver. I did check the mint mark. There's nothing really going on here, but I'll bring you in for it just because we haven't done one in a while. This thing is chewed, but we'll hold it aside. Get into roll 18. Bring you back on our next find. Roll 18. 1959 out of Denver and a 1946 Philly. Get into roll 19, bring you back in on our next find. Roll 19, we have a 1946 out of Philly. Get into roll 20, bring you back in on our next find. Roll number 20, we have a 1973, also in really nice shape. Let's see if it has steps. Yeah, not bad. All right, get into roll 21, bring you back in on our next find. Roll 21, and I'm just bringing you in to show you kind of things that I look for. This is a 2018 P, and you can see on the side of Monticello there's what's called a die chip, beehive die chip. This one's relatively small, but I haven't really found anything yet. So I wanted to show you that I am looking, but this is all I've come across so far. Get into roll 21, 22. I'll bring you back in on the next find. Roll 23. We have our first foreign, 1999 Canadian. Let's get into roll 24. I'll bring you back in on our next find. Roll number 25, we have a 1946 out of Philly, 1957 Denver, and a pretty nice 1993 out of Philly. That'll hold aside for the book. We get into roll 26. I'll bring you back in on our next find. Roll 26, and we have our next Canadian, 1988. Some weird toning to it. We'll put it aside as a find. Get into the rest of this roll. Bring it back in if I find anything else. Roll 28. We have a 1957 out of Denver. Put it under the scope. Check the mint mark. Just damaged. All right. Get into roll 29. I was counting to see how many rolls we were at. 29, I'll bring you back in if we find anything else. Roll 29, we have a 1951 Philly. And this nickel that looks like it's maybe has an annealing issue. Very copper looking on both sides. So we'll hold this aside as a find. It's pretty cool looking. All right, I'll get into roll 30. Bring it back in on the next find. Roll 31. We have a 1955 out of Denver. Check it under the scope. It looks normal. All right. Put this with our finds. Get into the next roll. Bring it back in if we find anything else. All right, we've gone a few rolls without any finds. The roll 34 gives us a 1953 out of Denver and a 1959 out of Denver. I did check both of those for any mint mark varieties, and unfortunately nothing. So we'll get into roll 35, bring it back in on our next find. Roll 36, we have our next 1959 out of Denver. Put this under the scope. This one looks like it could have a slight RPM. You can see some spacing here, some extra thickness here and down here, but I'm not sure which one this could be. I don't have any of that information in front of me, but it could be. So we'll put it aside as a find. Get back into, what is that? That's just damage, I think. Get into roll 37, bring it back in on our next find. Roll 37, we have a 1940 out of Philly. Let me get into roll 38, bring it back in on our next find. Roll 38 gives us a sweet find. We have a 1938 out of roll 38. And this one is a Philly, but that's in pretty decent shape for the album. So we'll put this one aside. It's actually really nice. Still got some luster to it. Except for that gunk on the back. I can try to pick that off with like a toothpick or something. All right, let's get into roll 39. Bring you back in on our next find. Roll 39. We have a 1958 out of Denver and a 1955. Also out of Denver. And I did find this 2000 Philly, which I think has the DDO. As you can see, the thickness on here. And there's some doubling in the two. Got it in the B in here. Some on the E. And I'm not going to go crazy on this one. You guys have seen it before. I'm going to get back into the hunt. I'll put this aside. I might put this one in the album as the 2000p, but we'll see. On to roll 40. Bring you in on the next one. Roll 40. We have a 1959 out of Philly and a 1947 also out of Philly. So we'll get back into this hunt for roll 41. Bring you back in on our next find. All right, I'm on roll 41, kind of midway through. And I have a 2021 Philly under the scope. And this is one of those odd anomalies here that goes kind of through his eyebrow and then down through his eye. I'll show you that a little bit better by rotating it here. Still have no idea what this is. You can see it there through his eye. These are very odd to me, but I'll put it aside. I have a whole bunch of them. Trying to figure out what they are. Now let me finish through this roll. Bring it back in if I find anything else. Roll 43. Nothing crazy here, but just some nicer examples for the album. 1987D. 1997 Philly. 1988 Philly. And a 2003 Philly. So I'll put these aside in the nicer coin pile. I'll get into roll 44, bring you back in if we get anything. Roll number 44, and we have a really nice 1967. We'll put that one aside. Get into roll 45. Bring in if we find anything. All right, that's a wrap. 50 rolls hunted. No silver, no buffaloes, no liberties. But I think we did a good job making a dent for this album. We have our foreign finds here. We have a 1999 and a 1988 Canadian. We had our 1938 Philly. We have a couple of 1940 Phillies, a few 1941 Phillies, quite a few 1946 Phillies, 1947, and a 1948 Denver. For our 50s finds, I have a couple of 1951 Phillies, 1953 out of Denver, a 1954 Philly in Denver, a couple of 1955s out of Denver, a few 1957s out of Denver, a few 1958s out of Denver, one 1959 out of Philly, a couple of 1959s out of Denver, and then here we have the coins I pulled aside that were just in really nice shape. A couple of 64s, one Philly, one Denver, 1970 Denver, 95 Philly, 96 Philly, 90, 2000 DDO, 1987 out of Denver, 97 out of Denver, 88 Philly, 2003 Philly, 67, 98 out of Philly, 90 out of Denver, 93 out of Philly, 73, 89, and a 68. And then I just have these as our oddity finds, I guess. This one looks like maybe an improperly annealed coin. We got that 2021 with the funky eyebrow, which you can kind of see from this angle. And then one 2009, that's pretty chopped up. That will also go into the album. And then I have a bag full of coins that I will pick the best out of, and we'll start filling that album. So that's it for our nickel hunt and album fill for our first one at the for Let's Look Brad channel album. Thank you again. And again, if you guys haven't checked him out at this point, please go over and do so. He's really got a great channel. Give him a subscribe. Hit his notification bell so you get notified when he posts something. And like a few of his videos, if not all of them. This video is not over. We're gonna plug in some holes and see where we're at on the album. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, well, here we go. We have all of our poles pulled aside, and I have them set up by dates. So up here is the 39, I think a 38, I'm sorry, the 40s, the 50s. I have a couple of S-mints over here. This whole row is 60s, Philly and Denver, 70s, Philly and Denver, 80s, Philly and Denver, you get the point, 90s, and 2000s up until 2013, I believe. So I'm going to go up to 2013 with the empty spots. So I'm going to go through these, pull out the best of the best, and then we're going to fill Brad's album. So you can see there's nothing in here through any of those spots. And once I get that done, I'll bring you back in, show you what the album looks like. Alright, so here's our progress on our nickel album after one box hunted. 1938, 1940, nothing on this one here, mostly silver. 46, 47. I'll just kind of go through this quick, you guys can see. All in all, not a bad fill for one box hunted. I did pull out the nicer condition ones as best I could. I want to say thank you again to Let's Look Brad for sending me this album. Try to get it filled up as quick as possible. But yeah, I mean, some of these coins are really nice. Some of them need some work, but we have a lot of hunting left to do. The 38 DNS, 39 DNS, 55P I come across fairly often. 50D is going to take a while. Now here In this area here I screwed up. I forgot there was multiple versions of these, and like I said, I was going up to 2013. I might have to change that to fit those others in there. So maybe 2011. I'll pull out the other ones after. But just kind of wanted to show you the album, how it came along after one hunt. And again, it has the mintages for all the coins in the series. So that's it. That's the hunt. Again, if you would, give Let's Look Brad a viewing. Maybe subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Watch some of his videos. He's got some great content. Like I had mentioned, drawing a blank here. Hold on one second. He does metal detecting, job site videos, coin roll hunting. He sends coins out to get graded. So check him out. If you do, tell him Dirty Water sent you. That's it. I will put his link in the comments and the description of this video. That's it. That's all she wrote. Till the next one.